who has taken the time to see this interview. We are extremely happy to have Miguel Bautista with us, who is a graduate from the LA Mission College of Culinary Arts, and with a restaurant management. And he's an entrepreneur. He is passionate about making vegan food, making not just vegan food. He's making it look tasty, interesting, and relevant. We can thank you enough for your time to be here with us, Miguel. Welcome.
A pleasure. Always in this path of cooking this way, you got to make time for this kind of stuff, because it's a little drops that it actually is gonna fill the glass. You know, just little by little. I've been doing interviews, cooking demos, classes for over 20, almost 25 years. So towards vegetarian and vegan food. So it's a pleasure for me to share and to share what I've been doing, and also share what's the effect of vegan food, and so people can actually approach to this kind of just this kind of life, this kind of like changing some habits, you know. So it's a pleasure for me to be here, and thank you.
Awesome, awesome. But I also gonna take just 1 second to introduce our co-host, which is Dayani Peñalosa. Dayani Peñalosa is a yoga teacher. She specializes in kids yoga. She is also a singer, and she is a published author of a trilogy of motherhood. Her books are very, very important in Latin America and very important in Spain. So welcome, Dayani.
Thank you, Javier. I'm very happy that you are here with us today, Miguel.
Very happy. And also, of course, I want to take a minute to introduce to our star of the show, Debbie DiMaggio. She is a published author. She is a life coach and a real estate professional. She can sell houses anywhere in California, and she is a great friend and a wonderful role model. So welcome, Debbie DiMaggio.
Thank you, Javier. Nice to meet you, Miguel. Welcome back, Gianni. So good to see you after having your baby, and nice to meet you, Miguel. Thank you so much. It was such a surprise and so nice when we heard from Diani said that you wanted to be interviewed, and I'm like so glad the gang is back together and to start with you after these couple years off. I wanted to take a moment to acknowledge and welcome Javier back. Javier and I work together in real estate, but we also work together, I'd say, spiritually and in health and wellness. And Javier not only is an amazing realtor, not only in California, but now in Portland, Oregon. I believe Washington's his next state he's hitting for the real estate. And then he is an author. He has his book is in Spanish, and I am really wanting him to do it in English, write it in English. It's on health and wellness and meditation and mindfulness and healing your body with the mind. And it is incredible. And I really can't wait for you to write that in English. So welcome, Javier. So good to see you and Diani and Miguel, and just to learn so much more from all of you. Miguel, I wanted to start with you, of course. You know, everyone has a passion, and some of us have many passion, and I want to know how you got started and what inspires you, or what inspired you to start cooking and then to start cooking vegan.
Correct. It's been a journey. It's been like 30 years. I'm 48. When I was a kid, maybe when I was 6, 7 years old, my dad used to make his own, he used to buy like milk straight from the cow, and he will make his own like cream. In Spanish is nata. You know, when you boil the milk and it gets this fat on top. And in Mexico, they use this to make sweetbreads, like traditional Mexican sweetbread. So that was my first approach. I see my dad cooking, and he will put something in the oven, and it will come out something that I love, which is bread, you know, sweet bread. So I was like, oh man, I can do something with my hands. I can create something. I can eat it. You know, I was about 7 or 8 years old.
Wow.
Since that moment, I was like, I want to work with my hands, you know, because I'm a little hyperactive. So when I was a kid in school, I'll be like kind of boring in some classes, you know. But then when I hit culinary school when I was 19, I came up on top of my class of all 5 years. I did competitions. I did a lot of things in the States. But going back to how I started, my dad opened a restaurant for a couple of months. He didn't do great, but that was my first approach. In a kitchen, I was 14, and I would go in the kitchen and see the fire and see how, how everything, they chop everything, and we used to have 2 cooks. So I would just look, and I was like, this is a work. I can do this for a living when I will get like older. Then I started like researching different careers, and at that point I was in Mexico, and nothing really got me into, of course your parents, they want you to be a doctor or a lawyer, or, because they pay, or an architect, because they pay a lot of money. So parents, they want to make sure that their sons, or, their kids, they have a career, or they have a, something weapons, to deal with life. But sometimes we forget, because sometimes the parents, they just think about their own ego to say, my son he's a lawyer. But when you do something artistic, it's like, no, you can't be a painter, you can't be this, you can't be that, you can't be a musician. And for me, everything is art. So I changed that. I was like, I want to do art, and I want to do something with my hands, and I want to travel. You stop thinking about money when you think about a passion, or I would call it something that you love, and you're just happy to do it, and it doesn't seem that it's a work. Of course, you get tired physically, but it's all like happiness. It's all dopamine and, different neurotransmitters through the day that you're happy, you're happy, you're happy. Imagine being that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all years. There's no depression, there's no anxiety. It's just happiness. Neurotransmitters, they do that, adrenaline, serotonin, dopamine. They do that for you. Unfortunately, you can't get them in pills. You have to either do exercise, or calm down your stress, or eat certain foods that will get you a boost of serotonin. But anyway, I started really young. I attended school when I was 19 in LA. I went back to the States after being in Mexico for 10 years. So I grew up in LA, and I was looking for a better school. I was looking for something back in the days, 25 years ago, something that a good school, something that will teach me right, something that will give me the tools so I can, be out the world. One thing that I love is to travel. I've been traveling my whole life. So I was like, I don't need a computer. I don't need anything. I don't need an office to do this around the world. I can just take my hands, my knowledge, maybe a couple of books, and then just cook anywhere. So that was my first approach when I was first 8 years old. Then I got into a traditional kitchen when I was 15. And then when I turned 19, I decided to go to school when I went back to the States, because they have a better schools and a better system. And from that point, I mean, it's been a journey. I started cooking meat and everything. So I wanted to be a real chef. I didn't want it to be like a chef who just read a vegetarian book and bought a chef code, and then you open a restaurant. There's a lot of people around the world right now like this, and they open and they close because you hit with wall when you're not trained. It's crazy how people, they open restaurants and they're not just trained. They need to know about numbers. They need to know about your inventories. They need to know how to cost your product. Many things that is not cooking. It's not doing art. It's logistics, and it's accounting, and it's a lot of other things. Anyway, I wanted to be trained that way. And then I was thinking, in the future, I'll become a vegetarian chef. That was my passion, I grew up as a vegetarian. When I was 14, I decided to be vegetarian. I didn't care. I was like, I wanted to learn how to cook meat and everything as the career, to be professional, to know everything, to know all the knowledge that in a culinary institute they'll teach you. Now, in these days, you can find some vegan and vegetarian school, but to be honest, they're not complete. The programs, they're not complete. Because if you attend to a culinary school, a regular culinary school, what happens? They'll teach you how to do an emulsification, how to do a vinaigrette. Certain schools, they're just teaching you how to make a cheese with cashews, which is in the vegan side. So it's not complete, So people ask me, chef, where can I attend to know what you know? I mean, my first advice is to attend to a regular culinary arts school, because the program, it's complete. Even if you're vegan or vegetarian, you're gonna have to taste certain things, and then 2-3 years you decide what to do. So that was my first approach when I was 15, 19. I'm 48.
You're so young. I can't believe how young you are. I mean, what's so cool is that you've been living your passion ever since you were little. You never, doesn't sound like you deviated much. You just went with it. And it sounds like your parents were really supportive. So that's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, I totally agree. This is a great experience. So now please, Diane, go ahead.
Okay, Miguel, I under the impression you have been vegan for a long time. Can you share how can you decide to make this lifestyle your current profession?
Yeah, I become vegetarian. I never liked meat, to be honest. I wanted to learn how to handle it. That's funny. Even fish, I grew up filleting fish in the ocean, fishing with my dad. So I knew how to fillet a fish, take the bones when I was 8, 9 years old. But I never liked meat. I never this is just something personal. I'm not judging anybody. I know people love fish. I just couldn't handle the smell of fish, of a rotting fish, because that's the smell. Fish doesn't have a smell. Once it's dead, it starts getting rotten, and that's the smell. I couldn't handle it. And then chicken, I never liked how the leg just tingles. I just couldn't. And I don't even know if you guys are vegetarian or vegan. I don't really, it's not that I don't care. It's not my job to judge, you know. I got so much on my plate that I got to deal first with that. So I became vegetarian when I was 14, 15 by myself. I was like, I don't want pimples, you know. I don't want fat. I started researching about milk. Talking about, I don't know, it's 1980, 1990, 1986, something around there. And then when I became vegetarian, it was fine. You know, I was the only student being vegetarian at school. Then 2004 came. I graduated. I went back to the States. I was in the culinary competition team. I did a couple medals in Vegas, cooking, meat, and everything. My passion was to cook and to learn how to cook. And then I would do a specialized by myself, reading nutrition, reading books, reading about medicine, about herbs, about plants, about the fungi kingdom, everything, just complete my school. So 2004 came, I saw the first video. It's called Meet Your Meat, and it's old school video. This is it's narrated by either it's William Baldwin, and I think Jim Morrissey was the one who launched that video back in the 1999, 2000, 2001. I don't know if you guys seen it. It's called Meet Your Meat. Yeah. And that was just life for me.
Yes.
Have you guys seen it?
Yes, no. I have. Yes, I have.
That's
old school. Opening.
Whoever is vegan, whoever started being vegan 20 years ago, that's because of that video. It's William Baldwin narrating, and what's it called? Jim Morrissey, who's a musician, super famous. He will have this. He was in this band called the Smiths. A lot of bands, super famous musicians, they become vegans because they do a lot of so much conscious, so much meditation that they just like, you don't realize how much damage can you do to an animal, to yourself, and to the planet. So you don't get to that. You don't have the time to get to that consciousness. You don't have the time to sit down and relax and deal with other problems. So I became vegan in 2004. After that video, I was like, I don't want to contribute to make cows suffering. I don't want to do it. I mean, this is what I don't want to do in this world. So if you want to do it, it's fine. I will cook vegan for people. Back in the days, I was working in a winery because I'm a sommelier also. And near San Francisco, I went to live to Paso Robles to learn about wines because they don't teach you anything about wines in school, culinary school. You would think, but they don't teach you anything. So you need to pair your food with wines. Anyway, I quit that job. I was making a lot of money. I was the executive chef for a winery. And back in the days, Rick Quinn, who is the owner of this winery, Opolo, he was actually on real estate like you guys. And he's like, you're not going to make any money, Miguel. He will pay me a lot of money to be his private chef of his own winery and to the wine pairings and to make wine actually and to cook for like private dinners. So I was like a chef on call, like a job that everybody, like a dream job, you know. And I quit after I think a year or two. It just 2004 came and I was like, I can't do this. I can't do any more foie gras. I can't cook. I cannot contribute more with this suffering. Miguel, you're not going to make any money. Okay, I don't know. I'm just going to follow what I what I feel, you know. I don't want to be sad. I don't want to be cooking, you know, a half a pound of butter and put it on top of the fish and knowing that that's a lot of cholesterol and that can clog your arteries, and that in the future will give you a heart attack. When you know the truth, it's kind of hard to keep doing it. It's like being a hypocrite, you know?
Yeah.
So I was like, no, I just can't do it. I didn't care. I grabbed my luggage. I used to live in Paso Robles for like 5 years. This is wine country. I don't know if you guys know that area.
Yeah.
Of course, San Luis Obispo, going towards San Francisco, Napa Valley. And I went to New Mexico, to Santa Fe. I needed something, a different spot, something more with nature. So I went to do snowboarding, one of my other dreams, like extreme sports, skateboarding, surfing. So I was like, I never snowboard, I want to learn. So I went to the mountains, and I took like a 2-3 months break, think about it, and make this transition as a chef. What am I gonna do? Where am I gonna cook? You know? And boom, 2 weeks after, Don Imus called me. Debbie, you probably know Don Imus. I'm 48. Don Imus just passed away. I don't know if you guys know him.
I don't know.
He's a radio talk show guy from New York. Like the first original Howard Stern is like a guy from Fox News, super famous. And he'll call me. He was like, I have a camp for kids with terminal cancer. And I heard you're in New Mexico. I was like, yeah, but I don't want to work. You know, I'm taking a 2-3 months off because it's been too much. And he's like, well, we need an executive chef who can cook vegan and vegetarian. And boom, the universe just got me that after thinking about it, to quitting cook meat. And I was like, how am I going to make my money? How am I going to survive? I know how to cook meat and fish, but there's not enough vegan and vegetarian right now, you know? So I started looking for those spots, and I became the executive chef for the kids with cancer, for Don Imus and Deidre Imus. Like I said, super famous guy. He's the one radio host most famous in the world.
Wow.
And I was his private chef for 5 years.
Wow. Awesome.
But I was cooking for kids with cancer. So that's when everything started. I was like, okay, I can do this. I can cook vegan. I can do meatballs. I can do burgers. I can introduce vegan smoothies without carton milk, or even vegan carton milk, you know? There's no nutrients. I mean, whoever drinks almond milk from carton, it's water and sugar and a little bit of starch. There's no nutrients. There's no protein. There's nothing on those milks. When I talk about milk, it's soaking your almonds, old school, soaking your cashews, your sunflower seeds, or pecans, or anything, and then blend it with water, maybe a date, and then you have a real milk made with nuts and seeds. So I introduced that to the kids with cancer. It was a camp with vegetarian restrictions. The sponsors was Reader Digest and American Express. So imagine the money we have, the budget that we have. There was like no budget, no limit for organic vegan food for the kids. So that was like my first kitchen on a vegan stage. And I was like, okay, I can do it. I'll go from hospital to hospital. I'll go from, I don't know, I'll probably cook for celebrities. I ended up cooking for some celebrities. I ended up cooking for different events. And then that's how everything started.
Wow.
I've been turned 20 years of vegan, 37 of vegetarian. So I'll be turning 20 years next year.
Wow.
Wow. That's very impressive. So no, I have been watching a YouTube channel, which, by the way, everybody make sure to follow him, to subscribe to his channel at Chef Miguel Bautista, you know. But I am very impressed by the information that you are sharing there. Now, may I ask, how did the idea to be in such a platform came about, and where did you get the ideas for the content? Because the content is super relevant and important.
You know, when I started working with the kids with cancer, I started researching, and I started reading a lot more about nutrition, medicine, like I said, herbs. And I was like, I need to learn this, because there's no schools I can attend, and so they'll teach me this and this and that. So I started buying books like the China Study, I'm sure you guys know, and just different books about Eckhart Tolle, and just reading about life and reading about how the universe works with energy and animals and everything. And I started studying that so I can share that. And I started translating all that knowledge to Spanish. That's where the content of my YouTube channel starts, because I can speak in English most of the stuff about vitamin, minerals, proteins, amino acids, you know, I mean, different superfoods, herbs. But it was hard for me to do it in Spanish because nobody has that knowledge in Spanish, and even the words, you know. So I started doing it and started like doing classes around the world, like small classes, then start getting big classes. It got to up to now my classes, they're about 100 people per class.
Wow.
In different countries, South America, the States, Mexico. So that's where the content starts. The need of people who want to eat vegan or vegetarian, but they don't know where's the protein. Unfortunately, 2022, they don't know what kind of protein, what is a protein, how much grams of protein we need per person per weight. We still don't know. We still don't know how this body works. But sadly, we know how our car works. And we put the best fuel and we put the best oil and we take it to the car wash every week. And if something's happened, you go and you run in to buy whatever that car needs. That day, we don't do that to our body. That's really sad. So I was like, we don't know. I mean, and I need to share that for kids, for sick people, not even for vegan and vegetarians, to be honest, not even for the people who are fighting for the animals, not even for the people who are fighting for the environment. They already know, they're already doing something. This is for the people who are sick with terminal disease, who has the need to stop eating meat because they don't have the money. In many countries, the meat is super expensive. They don't have the money to eat cheese, to buy cheese, but they don't know. So what do they do with the poor people? They still need their filet or their meat or their chicken, which is more expensive than beans. So they still don't know that you can get good amino acids, which converts in proteins through beans or lentils, which are super inexpensive comparing to meat. So that's the content. Of course, that's nice to hear. Oh, wow, nutrition, medicinal mushrooms, proteins, amino acids. Wow, I want it. Yeah, but can you make it taste good?
That's the key.
And on top of that, I learned so much cooking methods at school, which is deep fry and saute with a lot of fat, and then the butter, which I never liked, like deep fried food. You go to all these vegan restaurants and now it's French fries deep fries, falafel deep fried, burgers deep fried, churros, everything is deep fried. You know, we forget about the nutrition side. So I stopped using those cooking methods. I don't use deep fried food. So what I create certain dishes, staple dishes like cheese, like chorizo, like meatballs, but with a nutrition background, not soy, texturized soy meat, not all these kind of things, chemicals they create or different colors with numbers, yellow and red, which they're natural because they're natural colors, they're natural flavors. Of course, the red comes from an animal, right? So they are natural. That's why you see the labels and it says natural flavors. That can be chicken stock. It doesn't mean that it's vegan or vegetarian because it is natural. They come from a chicken. So that's where all the knowledge, the content comes. Some of my knowledge that I learned, I was like, I'm gonna introduce and translate what's a protein, what green tea does for your body at just certain points. You know what cacao does for you. The serotonin can take it off from depression or anxiety. Certain things that for me in my life, it's important because you got to go through this personally before you can actually teach it. You know, if you don't have the experience, you can't even share the experience or you can't even get an advice, given advice. So that's how the content starts, like really what people need, but without forgetting, there's gotta be super tasty, not only healthy, but super tasty. And I don't need to deep fry a falafel so you can have it and say it's tasty because chemically, fat and sugar makes us mouth water. It gives you pleasure. It's pleasure. Sugar and deep fried food like a churro or like anything deep fried is just pleasure. It's pleasure. That's why everybody wants deep fried because we're going through so much depression and anxiety that you need to fill that hole with happiness. What is gonna give me happiness? Trust me, you're walking on the beach and grabbing your French fries is gonna give you that hint of happiness because of the chemical reaction of fats and sugar together. Deep fry at that temperature is gonna give me pleasure, of course. I'm gonna look for that. I don't use those methods because they're not good for your body. So that's the content. Good food, nutrition, which I apply my knowledge that I learned in culinary school. For example, we do force meats. When we do competition, we do force meats. Would that mean that you grab like a meat of any animal, you blend it, you make like a mousse with cream, and then that's a force meat. I do that same method, which is French cuisine, but I do it with nuts and seeds. And now I get burgers or meatballs or a force meat made with mushrooms. So if I wouldn't attend school, I wouldn't be able to do what I do, even on YouTube or in any of my restaurants. So that's the content: good food, nutrition in the background, nutrition, fun food, and tasty food, but without forgetting the nutrition part.
Awesome.
We need a dictionary. Well, first of all, before I ask my next question, do you have a blog, or do you have it listed somewhere that cacao is good for this and this is good for, like, do you have a dictionary of what are the foods that are good? Or
Actually, in my restaurants, I used to have like each. I wish I can show you one to share screen, but maybe in the next interview, I have like this. Let's say goji berry, right? It has all the nutritions, all the nutrients, what's a vitamin C, what it does good for you, and most of the superfoods that I use, I have. When you come to my restaurant, you'll see on the wall certain things that they have some nutrients. But that's what I meant, Debbie. We got to study. You know, it's funny how we know more about clothes or cars or houses. I mean, you guys are real estate. I mean, you guys know everything about plumbing and electricity and fungus and what do they call these? They eat the wood.
Termites.
Right? I mean, and mechanics know everything about a car, but ask about a mechanic how much protein he should take a day. They don't know.
Yeah, I would love for you to just send over like five ingredients that are good for you and the reason why, for me to write in an Instagram post or something when I write a little blog about you, because
I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you through email in English and Spanish. You can put them both. I mean,
great.
5 is easy, you know. I mean,
just, you know, it'd be fun just to start, you know, and then it gives me, you know, then I can share you and where you are. So what, so many questions, but well, where are you cooking now?
Right now I have 2 restaurants under my signature. So here in Mexico, well, people know me around the world because I've been doing a lot of cooking demos, festivals. It's funny because I came to Mexico 10 years ago. I came back and I became like a celebrity because nobody's cooking vegan food.
Right. Are you in America right now? Is that, or where are your restaurants?
The restaurants are in Xcaret, which is like right now is the best hotel, 5-diamond hotel in Mexico, and they have the biggest theme park in the world, bigger than Disneyland.
And that's in Mexico City?
Yeah, this is in Riviera Maya.
Oh, Riviera Maya, okay.
So I live about 3 hours away.
Okay.
But what they do now is they buy your name.
Right.
So I have 2 restaurants under my signature, 180 each hotel. They're 5-diamond hotels. Everything is like super, super high end. You're talking about $2,000 a night per person. It's crazy expensive. But that's the kind of hotel they wanted my signature.
Right.
So what they do, I have, for example, my restaurant number 1, it's called Bio. Like biologic, just bio by Chef Miguel Bautista.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's when they buy your signature, your name. Because people know me because of the vegan food. Both of my restaurants, they're vegan 100% in the hotels.
Okay.
So people know, oh, it's Chef Miguel. Okay, food must be healthy or food must be good or both, you know? So that's your reputation, which is on the line. So my contract, it's for 4 years and I go every 2 months and I do new recipes and I do new stuff and I train people. But I have 2 restaurants under my signature. I have 2 companies, which are my own superfood company in Mexico, which we distribute over 40 products, most of the superfoods, nuts and seeds, and things that we need to create this kind of food, like nutritional yeast, like goji berries, like raw cashews. We have a company who distribute that like to the whole country. And they have another company, it's called Go Restaurants, which I train people who want to open a vegan restaurant. We do every recipes and the concept. If you say, I want to open a vegan restaurant in, I don't know, Detroit, and I want Tex-Mex food, or I want Mexican, or I want Chinese, I'll do everything through the concept. And because there's a lot of people who want to open a restaurants, but they don't know. It's like a dream for a lot of people. Oh, I want to have my restaurant, so romantic. I want to have my restaurant, my little cafe, but they don't know. So that's another company I do. But right now I have 2 restaurants. You can find them on Google. Just Hotel Xcaret is the most famous right now in Mexico. Has the theme park, the biggest in the world. They have like like outdoors theme parks, pools and outdoors and mountains, and you deal with like animals and stuff, more like outdoors park, theme park.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I just stayed in Xcaret Arte, and gorgeous. Yeah, it was there. I remember, Debbie, that time I went to Mexico, and I was telling you, you gotta go to Xcaret Arte, and that was his restaurant. It's a gorgeous place, and it's an eco park that it actually takes into consideration the forest around it, okay? And instead of building it up, it built within. Okay, it's a gorgeous, very biological. It's actually an excellent book I just read about the streets of Xcaret, you know, and I got the opportunity to swing by your restaurant. So that's why that's why I was like, oh, I know exactly who you are, you know, because
oh, you were on top. You went to the one on top.
Yeah,
on the second.
yes, yeah,
that's brand new. That's brand new.
That's yeah, it was gorgeous.
Yeah, and the food was good.
The food was delicious. Yeah, actually, that's one of the things that I would like to ask you, you know, the tips, you know, because you were just talking about deep fry, which makes a lot of sense. And as I was going through the menus, like, yeah, I did not deep fry anything, but you air fry instead, correct?
Not really. You know, air fryers don't work for the industry. They work for homes. But air fryers, you can't use an air fryer like in a big amount of people. But I do a lot of oven, which is, if you put it like really low, it actually dries up. But I do a lot of raw food, which I use dehydrators, and then I do oven, and sometimes air fry. But it's like I said, it doesn't work for big amounts, you know, for restaurant. I mean, you don't see air fryers, industrial air fryers, you know. For that we have ovens. So, but we do like fries, for example, for like potatoes, you know, to go with your burger. We cut them, we do wedges, and we bake them, and they get crispy because of the methods we use, you know. Yeah. I mean, I have chefs in charge where they know these methods, and they know they gotta go crispy. The fries, for example, which is not fried, they're just potatoes. They're in the oven. They bake in the oven. But when we finish them, we heat them up in the little like flat top, and then they get this crispiness. And then you put a little paprika, a little garlic powder, and then you have this experience of crunchiness without biting the fry, and inside is pure fat. Because if you let one of the French fries from McDonald's or Burger King or any of these places, just let them eat them cold, you'll be disgusted, you know. Like,
oh yeah, that's good. No, and one of the things that they actually learn is about the mushrooms. You were just talking about mushrooms, how important it is, and how they taste so much different once you put it into the oven. Actually, because ever since I moved to the Pacific Northwest, you know, we have more mushrooms in here, and I've been learning about the chanterelles, about these ones, about those ones, and it is impressive, you know, the amounts of the taste that you can make it feel so good, just with simple ingredients.
There's like 3 families on the fungi family, because people think that mushrooms are vegetables, but they're not animals, they're not vegetables. They're their own kingdom, which is called fungi. And then there's different ones. There's the medicinal mushrooms, which you can find like chaga mushroom, reishi mushroom, lion's mane mushroom, tremella. These are the like medicinal mushrooms. Then you have like ones we eat, which is they're edible, like portobellos, like cremini, like shiitake, like chanterelles. And then you have the psychedelic mushrooms, which they use in medicine, different type of medicine. People with schizophrenia, or with anxiety, or with different problems, they've been using this, the chemical inside those mushrooms in medicine, just to do like different therapies. But there's, at the end, it's all the fungi family, you know, and each one has a meaning. Like mushrooms is pure protein, like a portobello is like eating a piece of steak. So those will give you that protein. The medicinal will give you different properties for your body, for cancer, like chaga. Chaga mushroom is a big mushroom, it's black, and it looks like a tumor. So it does the opposite. It will just re-heal, re-cure, regenerate your body, either each organ that is kind of like failing. It's crazy. It's a lot. It's right now, it's super in fashion. Everybody's talking about mushrooms. There's so much stuff. We sell reishi mushroom, we sell chaga mushroom, cordyceps, different mushrooms for different needs. So it's a whole thing. It's coming pretty brand new. But I've been working with mushrooms and learn about mushrooms for the past 15 years with a good friend of mine. It's called David Wolf, who knows a lot about mushrooms, and other people who would like really expert in certain things. So it's coming, and you can eat them, and you can taste them, and you can do the tinctures, infusions, a lot of stuff.
Awesome. Diane, do you have a question for us?
Yes, Miguel, in your social channels, we have heard your opinion about the difference between vegan food and what is offered at some restaurants. Can you share with us what this difference and why it's so important to recognize this difference?
Yeah, you probably seen my stories yesterday, right? Yeah, it's kind of, sometimes I get frustrated. I mean, I try to do my best. I try not to judge people. I don't judge people anymore. I don't have time to judge people who you eat meat or you eat fish. It's a different time. Each person is gonna take care of their bodies, and you can actually feel if you eat cheese. You can feel the fat in your mouth. I mean, you can feel how you feel after. That's not my job to do. My job is from here to forward to cook and to give, like I said, sick people, poor people. That's all my first concerns. Sick people who actually wants to eat meat, but they can't eat meat. Poor people who think they need to eat meat, but they don't need to eat meat. Like I said, people who wants to change from keto diet or from this or that. I'll just, I'm more concerned about other things. Now, going back to your question, yesterday I was frustrated because I was in a mall and there's a vegan restaurant upstairs, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna go and eat hummus like this much for, I don't know, $4, and just not good food. And when I say good food, I'm not talking about taste or cooking methods. That depends on the cook or chef. I'm talking about you go to vegan restaurants and they give you ketchup from the bottle, mayo, vegan mayo, processed, which at the end it's oils and things that are not good for your body. And then all these burgers they've been coming out like just processed meats made in a lab. There's no protein, there's no nutrients, there's no fiber, there's no vitamin, there's no minerals, there's not even good fats. These burgers they sell now, made with meat that is made in labs, they add coconut oil, so when you put them on the flat top, it will release that fat that we're used to of a regular burger. So my approach, like I do this many times, it's like I'm getting tired of getting just processed food and deep fried food because it's easy to sell, because you can make money, it gives you pleasure. But it's not for me, it's not for my body, it's not for my family. So I was like, I'm tired, man. I'm tired of going to a restaurant. I went to a restaurant the other day and this guy's like, oh, my recipes, these are my recipes. I have all my employees signed for about $30,000 fine if they give one of my recipes. I didn't say anything, but his recipe is nothing because he buys the bread outside. He buys at Costco, ketchup, mayo, mustard, pickles, lettuce, and he buys the patty from somebody who makes that patty. You put all together, you have a vegan burger made for, with all processed foods, So talk about processed foods, it's not good for our body. And if we don't put a stop on all those vegan and vegetarian restaurants and give advice and say, hey, stop doing soy meat, texturized soy meat, doesn't have nutrients. Stop deep frying everything, because sweet potato is really good on nutrients, but once you deep fry it, that's it. That kind of high temperature, it just kills everything. So people are not getting their food, they're not getting their nutrients. And I'm getting tired and worried that there's so many options, vegan options now, but everything, like if you go to Europe, or even the States, you go to the restaurants, not a restaurant, you go to Whole Foods or whatever, you're gonna go buy your groceries. Oh, I'm vegan. Oh yeah, we have everything vegan. Yogurt, milk, ham, cheese, sausage, everything in the package, everything with salt, with sodium, with sugar, everything with things added, everything with colors added. Of course, it's vegan because I have a speaker. It's plastic, right? It's vegan. Does it mean that I can eat this? Does it mean that I should be eating ketchup, Heinz ketchup? It's sugar, it's colors, it gives you cancer. Because everything that is not meant to be for this body, it's gonna have a consequence. What is cancer? And like, cancer has many meanings and has many reasons that people gets it. Okay, one of the things, for example, I always give this example. It's like cancer is like living in an acid pH, right? It's the perfect ambient for cancer cells. I always give that example. Let's say you're in a room and it's super hot and humid, like here, or like, I don't know, super humid. And then the doors and the windows, they're shut, right? What start happening? You get fungus, right? Humidity, microorganisms, they start living, and then you get all this fungus. Well, that's what happened with cancer. It's like that's the pH, the acid pH. There's no oxygen because people are not eating anything that is alive. They're eating these kind of processed foods, vegan or vegetarian or regular food, but there's no live food. Live food, raw food gives you oxygen. Oxygen is like turning the air condition in that room. Remember that room we were talking about?
Yeah.
That it's the cancer can grow there because it's the perfect ambient, it's the perfect pH acid. There's no oxygen. So it will proliferate. All the cancer cells will live. But what happens when you turn the air condition and maybe a dehumidifier? What happens? There's no more fungus. Of course, the pH change. This is when you eat a lot of fruit and vegetables raw, then your pH change to an not acid, but alkaline pH. And that's what cancer cells cannot live in a pH that is alkaline. So there's a lot of studies. I don't want to go on in cancer because I work with kids with cancer for many years. But it's just one of the things that I like to create these dishes for people who are sick.
No, definitely. I am personally fascinated by your personal story. You know, like you mentioned, you have lived in the United States, you have lived in Mexico, you have gone all the way up to create one of the most exclusive restaurants in Xcaret. You know, you are right now one of the biggest names in Mexico when it comes down to veganism. So my question to you is, where do you see yourself next? What's in the future? You know, what's next for Miguel Bautista?
I recently became a dad. You know, I became a dad when I was 46. I'm 48. So my boy is 2 years old. Definitely my next restaurant. It's gonna call Veg Mex. And this is gonna be real Mexican food, real beans, real corn, real Mexican food. I don't need the mariachi in my restaurant. You know what I mean? I don't need all the folk, like the Mexican mariachi, the sombrero, the tequila, I don't need that. I want to give food with the squashes that we get here, with the cilantro we get here, with the beans, with the corn. That's what's coming up next. My next restaurants. I have 3 brands coming up: Vegan Deli, Veg Mex, and King Foods, which is going to be foods for kids, which I'm working with my son, actually, doing a lot of experiments with him. Doing little experiments in a good way. You know, I mean,
yes,
made with sweet potato and carrots. So those are the 3 brands that are coming up. Vegan Deli, which is going to be a deli. Just you go and you buy nice hummus without any citric acid, and you go and buy a nice bread and something, maybe a yogurt that is made with cashews, something really nice and good. Then Veg Mex, which is going to be my Mexican restaurant, vegan. I'm gonna make it as a franchise, which I did with my first franchise, which it's called Vegan Planet. That was my first restaurant in Mexico. I had 2 of those, and that's what's coming. I haven't opened a restaurant myself. I mean, I've been opening restaurants in different parts of the world with people who I work with through my other brands called Go Restaurants, which, like I said, I coach people how to cook, or I create the menus. So now definitely it's coming up my next restaurant here in Merida, and I know it's going to be a success because when you do something so good nutrition wise, I'm talking about flavor. I'm not saying I'm the best chef in the world. I'm just saying when you do something honest, when I cook beans and I put just cilantro and it's organic beans just for a kid or for somebody who wants to eat protein, the universe just opens all the doors because you're doing it really honest for something, for some good. Of course, we all want money. We all need money, you know. The universe will give me that so I can continue to do this. But that's coming up next. Right now, I'm super busy with the hotels, but I've been working on the side with my other restaurants coming up.
Wow, incredible. Well, Debbie, please go ahead.
Well, I have so many questions, but okay, I do want to know what what your favorite food is. I want to know what your favorite thing to cook is for someone, but I also want to know, as a non-cook, and I do believe in eating the right things for health and wellness, I do want to know what, and I don't cook, so don't make it complicated. It's simple. I want to know what, if you can give me 5 things that I could eat that are simple, because now I don't want to go to the store and get anything. I don't like,
okay.
Get the
grab a pen, Debbie, and I'll answer all 3 questions.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Well, I'll answer the last one. That's the one you're gonna write, the 5 dishes or
Yeah.
options. You can get like this, and you get good proteins and nutrients.
Perfect.
But the first question was, what was the first question you said?
What do you like to cook for yourself? What do you like? What's your favorite thing to eat?
Lebanese food, Mediterranean, Arabic food. I mean, I'm Mexican. I'm actually Mayan from this area. I love beans, avocado, don't get me wrong, but I have a love for hummus, baba ganoush, pita bread. It's a culture that actually gave me a lot. That
Nice.
Middle Eastern food. There's a lot of protein in that.
I love those foods. Those are great. So the only thing you have to do when you go there is just make sure you don't eat the chicken or the meat, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I had to cook. I do a good hummus. I mean, I cook a lot. I do my own pita bread. I do my own falafel in an oven or an air fryer with original recipes with fava beans, not only chickpeas. I mean, I try to do when I want to feel that I'm in a different part of the world. I just like, oh, okay, let's eat sushi today, or let's eat falafel, and I cook it, and then I just, I don't know. I try to do everything as they do it in the countries. If I do a tzatziki vegan, I go and buy the dill, even if we don't have dill in Mexico and it's super expensive. You can't get it. I need that flavor, I need to have that flavor. So that's my favorite food, Lebanese, Arabic,
Nice.
that part of the food. I mean, I love beans and everything, but hummus has been just like my, it just embraced me since I become vegetarian,
Nice. My daughter actually makes it from scratch, so I'll have to
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
From scratch.
What was the other question?
What do you like to cook for other people, or what is one dish that people love all the time and it's easy for you to cook because you're like, at home? It doesn't have to be at a restaurant. It could be at your restaurant, but
no,
one thing that you love to cook and that people love.
You know what? I do a lot of cheeses with cashews and macadamia nuts and almonds, and those are always like I do a cream cheese with cashews and miso paste. And you can put that in a piece of bread. It's like a cream cheese. You can put that in tortillas and make a quesadilla. You can put that in a pizza and it can be part of one of the 3 cheeses in a vegan pizza. Those are really a success. Also, the chorizo I've been making, like kind of like meaty flavors, those are a hit too. So I will say staples, like cheese. I mean, like something that it's that they can actually eat like a spread. Those are really, really good staples also, and people love those. What I've been cooking a lot, it's oyster mushrooms also. Oyster mushrooms, a lot of protein, and you can make it straight on the flat top with a little bit of an onion, a little oil, and then you just sear them. And then at the end, you don't put salt or anything. Once it's already seared, like it gets a little crust. It almost looks like carne asada. You pull it out of the flat top. You put a little lemon, salt, cracked pepper, and that's it. You put that in a tortilla, green salsa, avocado, you have a nice taco. That's good protein.
Okay. I did not know that mushrooms.
Oh, go get your oyster mushrooms. Is the easiest thing you can do. Get the mushrooms, open the box or the package, put a little oil on your stove or your flat top or a pan. That's it. Just oil and sear them.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
Once they get a little crusty, you're gonna pull them. You're gonna put it in a bowl. Lemon, salt, pepper. That's it. That's it. You don't need cilantro, oregano, nothing. That's it.
Wow. I will try that.
You need a good salsa. You need a good salsa, and that's it.
I love salsa. Oh,
so those are the dishes that I've been cooking a lot. Everything with oyster mushrooms. I do a lot of moles, which is really old cuisine, Mexican cuisine. But I would say chorizos, cheeses, and a lot of oyster mushrooms.
Okay, now the last question: so I'm going to the store. What are 5 things I can buy at the store that I could that's healthy, that will feed the only thing I know is blueberries are good for you.
Okay. What I teach everybody is to learn a little bit in literally a minute that we're talking. Where are the proteins, where are the vitamins, where are the minerals, where's the fiber, where's the fat? Once you know that, you got to choose. For example, if I walk at 7 p.m. and I'm hungry, I need to eat. If I eat only blueberries, I can eat, 4 packages of blueberries, and I'm not going to get full because by 7 p.m. I should be taking some protein. Blueberries are super healthy, but there's no protein in it. I mean, there's really just a tiny bit of protein. We cannot rely on protein on blueberries, right? So what I would recommend always, go to the aisle of nuts and seeds and invest in nuts and seeds. Don't look at the prices. People are, oh my God, macadamia are so expensive. Oh my God. Yeah, but 4 macadamia nuts is such a good collagen for your skin. And it's probably 50 cents, $1. I don't know. It's expensive though, but you're not gonna buy kilos or pounds. You're gonna buy maybe a little baggie. Almonds, cashews. Always invest in nuts and seeds. Also, different type of butters, Debbie. Not only peanut butter, which we love, which is good protein, but you got almond butter, cashew butter, pecan butter. You got now even walnut butter, macadamia nut butter. They're more expensive, of course. If you buy the peanut butter Jiffy or whatever it's called, you know, Peter Pan or whatever brand, all hydrogenated oils and rancid and GMO peanuts.
I hate peanut butter, so.
Okay, so, but that's one thing. Another thing, protein, because fruit vegetables will give me a lot of fiber, minerals, and vitamins, right? And antioxidants. But we need protein, and so it seems like you need to run into the grocery store, grab something you can actually eat at the minute, right?
Yes.
I would definitely go with beans, all kinds of beans, because I don't know if you like beans.
Mm-hmm.
Love.
Okay, black beans, pinto beans, white beans, navy beans, and then you have all the fava beans, and then you have the chickpeas. Those, I mean, I know in the state they have it in a can. In Mexico, we don't really have that in a can. I mean, we soak them and we cook them like from scratch. But those are a couple of things that I will always get. I mean, if you in a rush and you didn't have time to eat, if you eat a bowl of beans, trust me, you're gonna be okay with protein. And then avocado, you add the blueberries, maybe a banana, and then you have your macronutrients and micronutrients. So always nuts, seeds, beans, oyster mushrooms, chanterelle mushrooms, portobello mushrooms, shiitake mushrooms. Why? It seems that they're not fast to cook, but if you grab a package of button mushrooms or white mushrooms, and you get home, you just cut them in half, put them in a pan, like I said, a little oil, let them roast a little, and that's it. When they come out, put a little salt, and then that's pure protein. You can add that to a salad, to a rice, to a bowl of couscous, quinoa, or make tacos with that, or make a sandwich. So what I always give an advice is look for the protein, because that's the most hard to identify. Right. Because people will go, I will go and buy bananas and apples. It's perfect. And blueberries and dates, it's perfect. But there's only fiber, vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, oxygen, which we do need. But I still need my protein, which it comes from beans, legumes, the family mushroom, which is fungi. Then you have the nuts and seeds. And then you have certain plants like sweet potato or potatoes, you know. Don't be afraid to have a dinner or just like one sweet potato. You grab one sweet potato from the store, you throw it in your air fryer or in boiling water in 10, 15 minutes, less than 50 minutes, you have it ready. You can cut it in 4 or in 8, and it will cook in 5 minutes instead of 15. While you take a shower, when you get out of the shower, you grab those sweet potato, you put a little oil, a little basil, and you eat that with a salad, and that's pure protein. But we don't know where's the protein, so we're afraid to buy. Where do I buy in the store? The other stuff we like, avocados, lettuce, arugula, tomatoes, you know, blueberries, blackberries, all that's good. But if you focus in each dish, at least breakfast and lunch, my income or my intake of protein, that's the most part. And that's what people suffer, because you can eat so much blueberries or bananas. And at the end of the day, you're going to be hungry. You're going to end up buying whatever. And if you're not vegetarian or vegan, you're going to be so frustrated. You're going to stop at the first McDonald's or whatever, and you're going to buy something just to fill up. Because once you're hungry, you're like, you know, desperate for something.
So question, that's really helpful, very helpful. So for the beans, you named all the beans, could I buy the canned with that are in water?
Yes.
Okay.
That was my approach. I don't recommend, I mean, you can avoid as much as cans, but I know a lifestyle in the States. I know how it works. So nobody's going to soak beans unless you're in a Mexican family. You're going to soak the beans or the chickpeas or the fava beans, and you're going to cook them the next day. That takes about soaking the beans, rinsing the beans, cooking for an hour. I know American lifestyle. So I don't like to recommend canned food, which actually I did a conference for with Colin Campbell in the same festival they did in Texas, and there was different vegan doctors, Gar Davis, Dr. Baxter, and I talk about microwave food and canned food in the States, which in other countries we don't have. I mean, here they have microwaves and they have canned food, but nobody really use canned food here, you know, because we are used to soaking the beans and all this. But anyway, you can use it as a source of protein.
Okay.
I mean,
okay,
just,
it won't be bad if I get some in the water. Because I
fine.
don't think I'm gonna be able to soak them.
Once you taste real beans, like cooking from like in a pot, you'll be like, oh my God, this is a different thing.
I'll
But
try
you,
that. I'll put that on the list to try to learn how to do.
It's very easy. You can freeze them.
I know these are steps by steps. You know, in prison, you said prison, Javier?
No, I say you can freeze them. When
Oh,
you freeze
oh.
I do that. What I do is I make a lot of beans.
Oh,
And
yeah,
then
yeah,
I
yeah.
separate them and freeze them. And
Oh,
as
yeah.
I'm going to eat them, you know, instead of going to the can, I just take my little container, and it makes
Yeah.
my life so much easier. You just do it once a month, and you don't have to deal with the rest.
Yeah. It's funny because I thought you said prison. And it's funny because once I was at school and I was really good cooking. I was super thin and I was really good cooking, like speed. I was fast, you know. So they, people came, cops came, and they offered the students to work in the prison
No.
to be a cooks. I mean, back in the days, they will pay like $25 an hour for a student. You were making $8 an hour. It was like, whoa, I can pay my books. I can, you know. And then I didn't want to miss an opportunity, so I went to see how it was. And I went to one of the prisons. I was looking to make more money so I can pay my school, my books. And they show us. I mean, I was in the prison with seeing how they cook the knives. They like with chains on the cutting board. I mean, it's just a surreal world. Maybe Salvador Dali will say something like that. It's just something so close to your face that you will just see it on movies. But the story is they show me, look, this is the food that we do for prisoners who actually behave bad, which what we see in the movies, right? They put them in a hole, which is a dark room, and they like this dish on the ground, right?
Yeah.
So they show me what they do. It's like this, we make it on purpose to look like dog food, but it's really good protein. It's beans, it's chickpeas, it's sweet potato. I swear. I was like, it's not even a punishment, you know, because they cannot take a chance to kill a prisoner, you know what I mean? Or give like, you know what I mean? You know what? It's easier and it's cheaper. Instead of meat, you got beans and they'll mash it up with potatoes and sweet potato. They give this color like almost like dog food, and that's what they were eating. And then the girl was showing me, this is what you've been cooking. I was like, I don't think I'm gonna come here. No, I never went. It was $25 an hour 20 years ago, you know, 16 years ago. But it was, no, I didn't want to be in that kind of environment. But it was really good for your career, because it was almost like a military kind of thing. Military went to get us as students. But that was the experience. I mean, that was the just a story about how protein is so important and how they can disguise the protein or make patties or make meatballs or make burgers. But when you go to a restaurant, you eat, oh yeah, we have spaghetti with meatballs. It's all vegan. Okay, what is the meatball made of? Oh, it's soy, texturized soy. Yeah, because it's super inexpensive and there's no nutrients. It happens to me in Venice and in Italy. Before the pandemic, I was just doing a tour in Europe with my girl, who's my wife now, who is the mother of my son. And we were in Venice and this nice restaurant. Okay, let's find something. And we ordered a meatball spaghetti meal vegan, and it was all soy protein texture. I couldn't eat it. You know, I paid like 40 euros for a dish. I couldn't just eat it. I was like, really? I mean, you don't have like mushrooms. But they don't know. This is all ignorance. They don't know. They don't study where's the protein or where's something that is actually good for you. They just buy that texturized soybean. Okay, it's vegetarian, vegan, whatever. They don't care, which I understand. They're not vegan or vegetarian restaurants, but that has to change. That has to we have to advance that. We already have 5G and we have so many other things in the world. I mean, how cannot we know about our bodies? I mean, how cannot we know about what's the amount of protein, which is if people will know how to just know how much protein there in a bowl of beans or chickpeas and know how much protein you should have. I mean, there will be like the world will be different, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, the world will be totally different. I mean, poor communities can be eating just chickpeas or lentils, and there'll be like no poverty or no, or a lot of things will change. I don't want to say there's no poverty, but I think many things will be different, you know, in the world.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Wonderful. Wow. That was so interesting. All of it. I could gonna get online, look at all your YouTubes and your Instagram stories and start following you.
Yeah, I mean, YouTube, I have many videos. I just I did new videos this week for YouTube. And then I have Instagram and Facebook. And so I was on TV for a period in Mexico and festivals. And I didn't even know, but when I was in the States, I started becoming in magazines and stuff. I kept showing because I was one of the executive chef, youngest chefs in California. So I was in a couple of magazines. So people were starting to get to know me, but then that's when I came here. And then I was like, I'm gonna stay away from the celebrity chefs, from the fine dining cuisine, because I came here to make meatballs made of cashews and mushrooms, you know. And so I'm not gonna approach the fine dining, all the celebrity chefs. And slowly, these chefs, they start going to my restaurant and they started talking about the techniques that I use, and it's French cuisine, but applying to veganism. And they started inviting me all these like fine dining, which that was my schooling, fine dining, you know, French cuisine. So suddenly, without not wanting to be in that world, I become one of the chefs to be in that world. And now I cook with the best chefs in the world right next to me because they're in the same team. In Xcaret, it's not only me, where they have the signature, they have other 10 chefs, which they have Michelin stars in different countries. And those are my partners. Those are the people who I cook now. And they recognize, like Javier said at the beginning, they recognize worldwide what I do. But that wasn't my plan. My plan is just to do this nice food, you know.
Well, it's amazing that you are living your dream since you were a little boy, and now you're teaching your own son, which is so amazing. And it sounds like he likes to cook as well and eat your food, which is most important, right? Well,
He's vegan. He's vegan from the belly. He's 2 years old. I mean, he plays the drums when he turned 1 year, no, 8 months, he started playing the drums. And now we bought him like a professional drum, and now we're looking for classes because he plays like not only like he plays, and he's 2 years old, but there's no school. They're on so but vegan food, it affects that way because there's so much nutrients every day, so much fruit, so much vegetables that you don't even plan to be that way, but you get so much energy, so much clarity in your head, so much clean energy. You don't get tired, you know, you're not digesting any animal. My kid is not digesting eggs or cheese or fish sticks or chicken fingers, you know what I mean? Yeah. Once he started digesting, if he wouldn't digest that, he wouldn't have energy. Right. I'll send you some videos you can see. He plays crazy. I mean, and it's a whole journey. My wife she's an ex acrobat from Cirque du Soleil. So it's all art around our house, you know, either he's painting or he's doing things, music. We support art here, you know, and we just, I think it's more important than a lot of things because it makes you happy. Once you're happy, oh my God, there's money coming. Oh my God, there's good news coming. Oh, I'm healthy, you know? So I think that's the key, you know?
Oh, definitely. Well, we are so excited to have had you on our show, and we look forward to following your journey, and definitely we'll be following you and trying your restaurants when I get there. And did you guys have Javier, Diani, anything else you wanted to ask? I know he's such a wealth of information. I just want more and more.
No, I'm with you. You know, all I want to say, just thank you very much. This has been definitely a very enlightening journey, you know, and thank you for sharing, you know, and I am so happy that I finally got to meet you in person, well, through here to this channel, you know, because like I say, I have been at your restaurants and I have seen what you are, and I am just have thank you to say.
It's a pleasure, and it's a likewise. And it's the same, Javier.
Perfect.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome.